Sir, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name's Jean-François Berhaney. You did a pretty good job with that first name. I go by John.
Not even close to what you just said, but thank you.
I go by John. Most people call me John. It's a little easier. I'm from West Warwick, Rhode Island, and I'm here to hopefully convince you to vote against this bill. I am a Catholic young man, traditional Catholic, but my testimony today will not have anything to do with religion, with anything to do with God-given rights. My main goal in speaking is to speak to those of you who are pushing for this bill or who maybe are pro-life but may not be quite so sure. So this is directed towards you. Firstly, I'm going to reference an article or a paper called A Defense of Abortion, written by Judith Jarvis Thompson, who may be well known to you. If she's not, she wrote an article, one of the better written articles that I have found, sort of explaining or trying to defend abortion. She wrote it in 1971. I encourage you all to read it if you're not familiar with it, and you might be wondering why I'm saying this, is because I believe that the truth does not need defending. I think it stands on its own, and that by reading this, you will see, like I did, and I'm no genius, that the flaws and the inconsistencies with the syllogisms and the metaphors. I had made a whole list of the different ones that I had found in there. I'm only going to list one right now. There's a very famous reference that she makes about a room where it's stuffy. She opens the windows, and there's some sort of like screen. And it's an analogy, and she talks about, quote, these people seeds that can float in through the windows and might potentially land in the house that you own, and that may, start growing. I'm just going to read the little paragraph she had there. Quote, does the person plant who now develops have a right to the use of your house? Surely not. Despite the fact that you voluntarily opened your windows, you knowingly kept carpets and upholstered furniture, and you knew that screens were sometimes defective. Someone may argue that you are responsible for its rooting, and that it does have a right to your house because, after all, you could have lived out your life with bare floors and furniture, or with sealed windows and doors. But this won't do. For the same token, anyone can avoid a pregnancy due to rape by having a hysterectomy, or anyway, by never leaving home without a reliable army, end quote. You can kind of see the correlation that she tries to build there between, a woman's body and this room. And there's this correlation between having an open attitude to sex, kind of whenever, and a possibility of conception, with sort of the idea that, that correlated with this open windows and the idea that, this seed, this plant, or this person seeds can just float in. That's actually not the case at all in real life. A better analogy would have been if she said that, suddenly there's going to be warning signs saying, oh, hey, this person's seed's about to enter, This would have been a better analogy, and therefore, this is just one of many false analogies. But again, to give her credit, this is one of the better written attempts at defending abortion, so I encourage you all to read it if you're still unclear. I would like to touch on another piece of this legislation that has to do with something that's personal to me, which is the revocation of letting your spouse know if you've had an abortion, which would be repealed in this if this bill passes. As we heard from a lady previously who had the terrible story of being raped, and I think we see it in this country that there's a growing, we see that young men or men in general are kind of failing more and more. If you compare many years ago compared to now, it seems like in general we're not doing so hot. We're failing to take responsibility for ourselves and for our actions. And therefore, if in fact we do want men to act, well, to take responsibility for their actions, how then can we, pass laws that say, well, we're going to kind of open up a loophole where they may not even be, told that, a life that they helped cause is going to be ended. That seems completely counterintuitive. The next thing that's been mentioned a lot has been that the quality of life for children, in poor situations, it's not worth bringing them into that. How could they ever, find happiness? I would encourage you to either read up or find people who have traveled to Calcutta in India. Calcutta's nickname is the City of Love. And unlike Philadelphia, the City of Brotherly Love, that name is not ironic in the least. The people there live truly in serious, serious poverty. But it's called the City of Love for a reason. These people who live there are, life-changingly joyful in a way that is kind of foreign to, in most first world countries. And it really takes seeing that these kids who grow up on the streets, where there's literally feces and wrappers everywhere, still manage to just be so smiling, so joyful, radiating happiness. So to me, anyone who says that, a child, shouldn't be brought into this life because it's inconvenient economically or for this or for that, clearly has not, looked at the landscape of humanity to see what is truly possible in terms of living a happy life. And finally, well, I'll just end with this. Earlier, I believe Senator McKinney, you were talking with an abortion doctor here earlier about the changes in Maryland going from 1% to 5% for late-term abortions. And you were saying that by passing this bill, this is not something you, in general, would want to see increase in Rhode Island. This is generally something that you would prefer not to have happen, as well as, it's kind of speaking for the rest of the body. And to that, I would say, if there's something wrong in third trimester abortions, then, well, why 1%, 5%, 20%, it doesn't matter, But if it does matter, then there's something wrong there. And certainly something that needs more consideration, and that for the time being, I hope will motivate all of you to not vote for this bill and, to vote it down. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.